Clint Eastwood came to promote a film, but what he did on Jimmy Kimmel Live left the audience speechless. One tense moment, one brutal line, and the entire show unraveled. Was it a meltdown or a message Hollywood needed to hear? Watch what really happened. Before diving into the story, comment where you're watching from and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the latest stories. Clint Eastwood wasn't a fan of late-night talk shows. He'd made that clear for years. But his new film, The Last Stand, a stripped-down drama about a lone rancher battling a corporate giant, meant getting the word out. And that meant facing the bright lights, fake laughs, and the circus known as Jimmy Kimmel Live. Dressed in a dark blazer and jeans, Clint sat in the green room, sipping black coffee, watching the studio monitor with a stoic calm. At his side stood Evelyn Shaw, his longtime assistant and closest confidant, arms crossed, expression tight. "They'll try to make it cute," she said. "Don't let them." Clint didn't respond. He didn't have to. Out in the studio, the atmosphere was electric. The crowd buzzed with anticipation. The band tuned up and Jimmy Kimmel paced behind the set, grinning from ear to ear. This was going to be good. Ratings were already projected to spike. After all, it wasn't every night you got Clint Eastwood in the chair. But behind the scenes, the producers had other ideas. They weren't just booking a legend. They were setting up a viral moment, one the internet would eat up. A quirky hat, a cowboy joke, maybe even a stunt. All in good fun, they told themselves. But Evelyn knew better. Earlier that afternoon, she'd reviewed the segment rundown and spotted the red flags. Instantly. "Why is there a gag prop labeled Neon Cowboy Hat?" she asked sharply. "Oh, just something to lighten the mood," the assistant producer smiled. "Clint's tough. People love seeing the softer side." Evelyn didn't smile back. "You'll regret it," she muttered, then walked off without waiting for an answer. She'd seen this play before. People thought Eastwood was just a name, a brand, but he was still a man who'd built his legacy by refusing to be handled. Backstage, Clint stayed quiet, watching Jimmy's opening monologue with a narrowed gaze. The jokes were rapid fire. Celebrities, scandals, politics. The crowd loved it. Clint's fingers tapped slowly on the armrest. "All noise," he muttered. Evelyn glanced over. She didn't need to ask. She already knew. He was ready. But what the producers didn't realize was that Clint wasn't walking into their world. She was about to flip it. When the stage manager gave the signal, Clint stood, buttoned his coat, and moved toward the curtain. No handlers, no entourage, just presence. The old school kind. The kind that didn't ask for respect. It took it. And tonight, the stage wouldn't belong to Jimmy. Not for long. The lights flared, the crowd roared, and Jimmy Kimmel turned on the charm. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the legend himself, Clint Eastwood." The band launched into a western, inspired riff as Clint stepped onto the stage with slow, measured steps. He didn't wave, he didn't smile, just a firm handshake with Jimmy and a nod to the audience. Then he sat, posture straight as a steel rail, eyes already scanning the set like he was assessing the threat level. Jimmy kicked things off smoothly, asking about Clint's new film, The Last Stand. And for a moment it seemed like the segment might stay in safe territory. But Jimmy couldn't help himself. He shifted gears fast. "Now, Clint," he grinned, "you ever miss the old cowboy days?" "Do. You still ride, or have you traded the horse for a golf cart?" Laughter rippled through the audience. Clint raised an eyebrow but said nothing. "I mean, come on," Jimmy continued. "Do horses still listen to Dirty Harry?" Another wave of laughter. Clint gave a slight smirk, barely perceptible, and replied only if they know what's good for them. The audience chuckled again, but the air shifted. Evelyn Shaw, watching from the wings, leaned forward. She knew that tone. It wasn't play. Jimmy was on a roll, or so he thought. He reached under his desk and pulled out a giant foam cowboy hat, bright red, blinking lights along the rim. "Now this," he said, holding it high, is what America's been waiting for, the neon outlaw himself. The crowd burst out, laughing, clapping, and hooting. He extended it toward Clint. Just one pick for the fans. Clint didn't move. He didn't even blink. "Put that away," he said quietly, but the words landed with the weight of a hammer. Jimmy laughed nervously, still holding the hat like it was a peace offering, trying to save the moment Jimmy played dumb. "Come on, Clint, lighten up. We're just having fun here." But Evelyn saw it, the flicker in Clint's eyes, the tightening jaw. He was done playing. "Is that what this is to you?" Clint asked, voice slow and steady. "A game. A chance to make a fool out of a man who came here to talk about something real." The crowd's laughter faltered, then stopped completely. The room was holding its breath. Jimmy blinked, still clutching the stupid hat. "Hey, it's all good. I'm just giving the people what they want." Clint leaned forward, his voice just above a whisper. "They want honesty, not a clown show." The audience gasped. Some clapped, some murmured. A few laughed nervously, unsure if this was scripted or if the wheels had truly come off. Backstage, Toby Grant, the stage manager, was signaling the booth. Panicked. But up in the control room, the director barked back, "Don't cut! Let it roll!" The ratings were surging, but so was the tension. Clint sat back unblinking, a storm in silence. He'd drawn a line, and Jimmy had just stumbled over it, live in front of millions. The studio was on edge. Jimmy Kimmel's usual rhythm had been shattered by Clint Eastwood's calm defiance. The audience, moments ago, laughing and clapping along, now sat in a strange limbo, unsure if they were watching television or witnessing something far more real. Jimmy tried to recover. He leaned forward, smiling tight. "Okay, so the movie is about standing your ground," he said, his voice straining, "for control. Tell us where that came from. Real-life inspiration, I assume." It was a desperate pivot. Clint didn't blink. "It came from people who still believe in something," he said slowly. "People who don't play along when the world tells them to roll over and smile." The words landed hard. The crowd murmured, some clapping softly, others glancing at each other. Backstage, Evelyn Shaw stood with her arms crossed, unmoving. She'd warned them. She told Toby Grant, stage manager, wannabe showman, not to provoke Clint. He hadn't listened. Now the whole crew was scrambling to manage a segment spiraling into live chaos. Clint was off-screen, and worse, he wasn't flinching. He was leaning in. Jimmy's grin faded. "Clint, come on. It's late night. We joke, we laugh, we keep it light. That's what this is. That's what the people want." Clint sat forward, his eyes like steel. "No, Jimmy, that's what you want because it's easy. But real stories, real people deserve more than this." He swept his hand across the glowing set, the blinking lights, the cameras. "You build a circus and expect people to be clowns. I'm not that guy." The tension snapped. The crowd burst, half cheering, half stunned into silence. A few phones came out capturing the moment. It wasn't clear to anyone if this was theater or mutiny. Jimmy leaned back, visibly irritated. Now the charm was gone. "You know, Clint, I respect you, but don't come on my show and act like I dragged. You hear?" He stood the move aggressive, abandoning his desk. "We're just trying to entertain people, and I'm trying to tell them the truth," Clint replied, rising as well. Taller, older, unshaken. "You say you respect me, then show it. Don't hand me props and expect a dance. I came to talk about something real. You made it a game." Backstage, chaos ruled. Director Lena Brookie screamed into her mic to cut to commercial, but the EP overruled her. "Let it play," he barked. "It's going viral already." The studio lights stayed hot. The band didn't. "Play." Security crept closer to the wings, unsure if they were needed. Jimmy glanced toward them, then back at Clint. "You're on my stage," he said again, trying to reclaim ground. Clint's voice dropped. quiet but cutting. And I'm still standing on it, which means I've got something left to say. The studio held its breath. The clash had stopped being about a movie long ago. This was something deeper now. Truth versus performance, respect versus exploitation. And it was unfolding live with millions watching. Clint Eastwood didn't storm off. He didn't shout or slam a mic. He just stood there, face like carved stone, eyes fixed on Jimmy Kimmel as the studio buzzed in chaos around them. Security lingered, near the wings, uncertain. The floor producer was whispering frantically into her headset. But it was Clint who finally broke the tension. With one final glance at the crowd, half stunned, half standing in awe, he spoke in that signature low, deliberate voice. I said what I came to say, and with that he turned and walked off the stage. No fanfare, no music, just the heavy footsteps of a man who refused to be handled. The audience erupted, not in applause, not entirely, but in confused chatter, whistles, and raw, divided energy. Jimmy was left standing alone, forced to smile through clenched teeth. "Well, that was something, huh?" he muttered, trying to play it off. But the studio knew better. The damage was done. Clint had flipped the script, refused to play the role, and people felt it. You could see it in the faces of the crowd, the crew, even Jimmy himself. Something had changed. Backstage, Evelyn. Shaw met Clint as he passed through the curtain. "I told them not to push," she said under her breath. Clint didn't answer. He just grabbed his coat and walked straight out of the building. Outside, the air was cool and quiet. But online, the internet was exploding. Clips of the confrontation were going viral within minutes. People weren't just watching, they were debating. Was Clint Eastwood standing up for dignity, or did he go too far? Everyone had an opinion. Everyone had a side. And that's the real story here. Not just about a late-night meltdown, but a reminder. A reminder that in a world obsessed with trending clips and viral sound bites, there are still people who stand for something. People who don't play along just because it's expected. Clint didn't just walk off a set. He drew a line in the sand. And love him or hate him, he made his point. So now we want to hear from you. Was Clint right to call it out? Did Jimmy cross the line, or is this just how entertainment works today? Drop a comment below and join the conversation. Let's talk about truth, respect, and what it means when someone refuses to be part of the act.